now we'll go straight to our discussion on the forthcoming primaries in Edo State, party primaries, gubernatorial primaries, governorship primaries in Edo State. And it looks like that's going to be the biggest headache in the polity in the days to come. The signs are already there with the ruling party in Edo State talking about the APC, with one section or faction gunning for direct primaries and another gunning for indirect primaries. And then on the part of the PDP, talks along the lines of, well, should we have a consensus candidate or we'll let it open, as once decided sometime last year when the parties converged in Benin City for a stakeholder meeting, which of course was hosted by former two-time governor of Edo State, His Excellency Chief Lucky Nusahai Igbenegio. I'm being joined now by two young men who have the capacity to give insights into what is happening in the state politically. Let me thank Tony Okonigini. Tony Okonigini is the spokesperson for Edo Restoration. Many thanks for joining us, Tony.
Good morning.
We also have with us Fares Okberi. Fares is a regular on the show. He's a politician, former legislative aide. Many thanks for joining us, Fares.
Thank you.
Okay, now, let's start from home with you guys because of your party affiliations. Let's look at, some have said, well, for the PDP being in opposition in Edo State, the party primaries is really going to be as topsy-turvy as we are probably seeing in the APC. Do you subscribe to that? Let me start with you, Fares.
Yes, I subscribe to that. I think there will be competition because if you look at the caliber of people who have indicated interest by purchasing their nomination forms, and you see that there are people who are very interested and serious in getting to Sadibe Avenue. So I look at the names recently, and all of them are people who have a lot of pedigree. So it will be a contest. You know, there will be a serious contest there, and I'm hoping that the best man will emerge from that process.
All right, Tony. Yeah, you subscribe to. Are there issues that are on the ground that possibly could rock the boat of the PDP, beginning with the primaries, in your opinion?
Well, one good thing about the PDP is that PDP has come to stay. It's a party that knows how to navigate any muddy waters they have always found themselves. This is not the first time that PDP is facing the primaries. Right from 1999, we have not changed our name, and we have maintained that, and we have maintained the party structure. PDP is a leadership party. That's one good thing about PDP. So when PDP goes into any contest, you might hear some rousing here and there, but PDP has always had that ability because of the party leadership, believe in the party leadership, of the leadership structure we have. PDP has always come out. And I believe that these party primaries, with all the rows, whatever is happening, PDP is going to come out stronger, and they are heading towards that place. We have aspirants that are on the race, very civilized people. That's why you find out that the campaigns in PDP have been very, very civilized. You will hardly hear any of these name callings among the aspirants, among their supporters. We try to keep our campaigns within the family. We run it like a family. So it will be a family issue.
All right. In recent times, the party, as some have said, has been depleted with the number of exodus that has, trailed the party in recent time. Isn't that a disservice to the party? Let me begin with you, Fares.
Yes, some people did leave the party, but I don't think I would say it's a disservice to the party, because a lot of other people have also joined the party in the last few months. You know, and in Nigerian politics, there's freedom of association, so you can't tell people who or what platform to associate with. So what the party has been able to do is they've done a very transparent and open change of leadership, where the former chairman tenure expired and they had a new chairman, which was rancor-free, and that's very good. You know, that's what we want to see in our politics, where we can have inter-party or intra-party elections where there is peace, and after that people can shake hands and move on from there. You know, and that process has made the party stronger, because imagine if they had a process that was characterized by either violence or fraud, maybe the losers or those who emerge, there would have still be crisis that they would have been dealing with today. And that's a very big plus for the party, because that has been able to, in a way, galvanize the party to prepare for the coming elections, and that's a very good one.
Okay. Talking about defections that has greeted the party, you see this as a sore point that could work against the party in the forthcoming elections?
You see, when you talk of defection from the party, there's so much hype. When you have media people, let me put them like that, media politicians decamping. Maybe they will just call the media, one big person is decamping. If you actually find out, you will now find out that what followership does he have? You can count them, but by then they will now go and pack people in the stadium, pack everywhere that one person is decamping. You see, I was in a village in Eastern Central, an interior village, in Ibore, over the weekend. And what did we go to there to do? We went to receive some decampees from APC to PDP. The PDP strength is in the grassroots support. And when I got there, I met people, homegrown people, people who are really on ground. I counted over 250. These are real people who are decamping. Had it been one of those people who was maybe a former this or an ex-this or that was decamping, you would have had a lot of this thing. A
lot of noise about it.
So you don't hear about those people who are coming into PDP. For one person that leaves PDP, I can tell you that 3 others are coming in at the grassroots level, because that one person that is leaving has a vote. Yes, he has followers, but you now find out that each person, when it comes to the voting at the grassroots, at the ward level, at unit levels, PDP is doing well. So we are not too bothered about these hypes that go on air to start talking. PDP is intact and moving forward. I can tell you.
All right, let's look at, because from history, there's this semi-tradition where major crisis that trails political party is how to manage party primaries. For instance, I think last year when the PDP met in Edo State, what came out from that meeting was that the chairmanship position and the governorship position will be thrown open. But today, we know that there are those who are saying that, look, the governorship position must come to Edo South because, in a sense, Edo South has more population. And if the party wants to be able to have a go in reclaiming Edo State, so to speak, they must have a foothold on Edo South. What are your thoughts on these new developments coming forth in the build-up to the primaries?
Well, first of all, we have no, in fact, all political parties in Nigeria have no conflict management systems, from the grassroots. We probably have conflicts, and then maybe they'll set up one committee to resolve conflicts. But, in terms of formation of political parties, there's no organized mechanism to deal with conflicts that will arise as time goes on within the party. So we have a system where political parties will develop, but they will always have conflicts as time goes on. And to answer your question on the clamor for Edo South or Edo Central or Edo North, the party has said that the positions for the governorship is open to everybody, and I believe that everybody have an opportunity and have a chance for it, because sometimes when we narrow the argument from competency to tribal sentiments or ethnic colorations, then we lose the focus of governance. Governance shouldn't be about where this person is from. It's supposed to be about what capacity does this person have? What is this person bringing on board? We're supposed to talk about the issues that we are facing. So political parties, when members come out and start angling for different arguments, that doesn't really make sense to me, because when you now narrow the arguments to who is from, is the turn of this or the turn of that, then we lose the focus, we lose the argument. The argument today is that we have infrastructural deficits that we need to continuously try to reduce over the years. We have to develop a plan for the next 30 years to see how we can take those states forward and reduce our huge infrastructural deficit in the next 20 years to see how we can put Edo State in the map. So it shouldn't be about where this person is from. The person can be from Edo South, it can be from Edo North, can be from Edo Central. We all have people who are competent, who have leadership qualities across the state. Okay. So let's begin to harness those credentials instead of looking at where the person is from, which village the person is from. Because even if you still narrow it down to Edo South or Edo Central, then you still have people clamoring for which village or which ward or which clan
or which local government.
I've had issues like that where in the Edo Central where I'm from, you know, positions were zoned to the area. You know, we started talking about who is from Agbazilo and who is from the other clan, Okpebolo. So we always have these issues, you understand? So the best thing we have to start inculcating to our political system is a system that rewards competence, not necessarily about where people are from.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
All right, I'd like to get your thoughts on this. I mean, talking about the challenge of arguments for against on the issue of having the governorship primaries open to all members of the PDP, for example. But that is not what some people are saying today. They are saying that, look, it has to come to Edo South. What are your thoughts?
Well, like I told you, PDP is a leadership party. One of the greatest steps that the PDP leadership showed, saying that we want to take over this state, is coming out to leave the governorship and chairmanship positions open to all the zones. We have done it in the past. In 2012, the governorship position was zoned to the south. In 2016, we did the same thing, and we lost the elections. PDP leaders have now come out. They looked at everywhere, and they now said, look, let us go for the best candidate, irrespective of where he or she is from. I listened to our leader, His Excellency Lucky Benedion, when he addressed the press. He said that even if we now find out that and we have somebody that has not indicated interest, and we believe that this person is the one that can take us there, that we'll go there and beg the person to tell the person to come and contest. But fortunately enough, the people that are in the race now, they are all competent. We have competent people in the race. But PDP's problem now will be choice, because we have almost the best hands that we feel are on ground. If you look at the youthfulness of the age, if you look at experience, if you look at whatever capacity you
So you're saying that this whole talk about having the governorship zoned doesn't hold water now, as far as the party is concerned?
You see, everybody is entitled to his opinion. But what is the leadership saying? You don't go against what leadership have said in PDP. The PDP has come out with a position. And the position is that the positions are not zoned. The governorship and chairmanship. We are finished with the chairmanship. We are now on the governorship. They are not zoned. At the end of the day, by the time we take over the Nesosazebe House, PDP is still going to sit down.
Anyway, we wait for the election. I mean, that's some months and months away.
September.
Yes, months away. We're talking about 4 months, 3 months away. So those are months away. Okay, if you just join us, TMI Thursday, X-raying Edo 2020 party primaries against the background of what is on the ground now in terms of the movement, mobilization, and reaching out, and the outreaches being conducted by aspirants to see how they can woo the support of their members to vote for them. We're hoping that this goes on well, and that the best of the best emerges ultimately when these primaries are conducted. We're starting off our conversation today on the program with the People's Democratic Party, and they're looking at some of the issues and decisions and resolutions reached in the build-up to the primaries, and we're hoping that those decisions will be sustained all the way. But we know that politics is money, and money is politics. You see that change in the narratives about the primaries. I mean, he's been very boastful about the credentials of his party and what they're capable of doing and all of that. But we know that money has always been a determining factor on how some of these things go. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's true. Sadly, in Africa, money has been the major determinant factor in terms of our politics, and it's not very good, because then you have people who are competent, who are experienced, who can lead, but they don't have the huge financial resources to challenge, you know, in the arena, and then it becomes a disadvantage for them.
Okay.
You know, both political parties in Edo State right now, the two major political parties, have sold their nominations forms for maybe I think 20 to 20 something million, if I'm correct, and that's huge. That's huge compared to a country where the minimum wage is how much? Maybe 20,000, or some states are still struggling to pay 30,000.
Yeah.
So imagine someone who have worked 20 years on the minimum wage, trying to go into politics. It's a lot of you can see it's a monumental task,
yeah,
financially.
Yeah.
And that's where I don't really encourage that money politics. I believe that our politics should gradually evolve to ideas and not necessarily who has the deepest pockets. Because sometimes, you know, those who have the biggest pockets sometimes might not necessarily be those who have the best ideas.
Yeah.
So you just have someone who becomes a governor because he has a lot of money, not necessarily because he has sound ideas that can take the state forward. So you elect the person, and the person goes there and becomes a monumental disaster because he has money but have no ideas. You know, so we have to gradually have a paradigm shift from money politics to politics of ideas, politics of grassroots, politics of where everybody counts. In Kenya recently, in the last elections, a 23-year-old boy won an election. He had just finished university and won an election. He had no money, but because he was a grassroots person and the people saw him and they liked his ideas and they supported him to win. Okay. He won against a very popular party, which is the president's party. You understand? So that tells you that other countries are gradually shifting from money politics to politics of ideas. Okay. We can't remain there. It hasn't been favorable to us.
Okay. All right. Let's just talk a bit more about the other primaries that is a bit taking its toll on the polity in the state right now. Talking about the ruling party, the APC. Direct primaries or indirect primaries? That's the big question that is on the lips of everyone, even though we know that at the Abuja level, national party level, they're gunning for direct primaries. But at the state level of the party, they're gunning for indirect primaries. How do you think this can be resolved amicably, Tony?
Well, I find it difficult discussing APC because I don't actually know which APC to talk about. You know, I learned from media that we have ZTPM or another one that is there. So I don't actually know. So I find it a bit difficult. But what I know is that the APC is not preparing for an election. The APC is not preparing to move Edo State forward, whatever actions they have been taking. You see, the idea of primaries is to deepen internal democracy. If you don't have internal democracy in your party, by the time you take over, you cannot practice democracy to rule the people. So that is why in the wisdom of all of the makers of our democracy, they made it that parties, first of all, govern yourself. A party that cannot govern itself cannot govern the state. People should know that. APC has failed to govern themselves. From what they are doing, they are just heading towards a war and not primaries.
So those who are saying that, well, some of these things that the APC is doing now, majority of them, they learned them from your party, the PDP. So what have you got to say about that?
No. You see, the PDP...
What would the fact that many of the people you see as actors, gladiators in the APC now, they were once in PDP?
Yes. You see, the PDP we are talking about now is a reform PDP. Okay. You know, we don't talk, you see, the Bible talks of that every day God gives you a fresh anointing. The anointing of last year is not what you use for this year. So in that case, we have a fresh anointing in the PDP. Okay. Now, fresh anointing, fresh people that are taking over the leadership of PDP. Those in APC who have left, we are those that never meant well for the country. They never meant well for the citizens. So that is why they found that they're jumping just to have that, to be in seat of power, to control seat of power, to control state resources. Okay. That is not what we're after. Okay. So the PDP is a reform.
All right, let me bring Fares in here. There are those who say, well, the state governor is fighting the battle of his life. I mean, considering what has been trending in recent time, are they things we should take seriously?
Yes. Yeah, it's not going to be an easy battle, you know, and those who say the state government is fighting a battle for its life is correct, you know. It's always like that. When you have a dominant party that is in government, there's always going to be a huge competition for those who want to fly the flag of the party. It's normal, you know. But I hope that we can deal with these primaries quickly enough and start to talk about the real issues at the elections, so that we can go into real campaigns to talk about the issues. What are the issues we are facing in Edo State today? That's the question I want us to pose to Edo people, and then then politicians will be able to answer them and talk about it. Do we have enough electricity today? Do we have enough water? Do we have enough education? Do we have enough infrastructure? Those are the issues across board. We as Edo people, no matter the political party that we are, we have to start answering these questions, particularly those in government, those who are interested in going to governance, must be sincere in coming out to deal with these issues, to deal with these questions. You know, it's about time we start to take away this fight, you know, and look at the real issues. Those who are interested in coming into government, what new ideas are they selling? It's not just about coming to say, oh, the governor has not done this or the governor has not done that. What new ideas do they have that they want to sell to Edo people? It's time to start bringing those ideas. Let Edo people decide who they want to follow, who they want to vote for. It's about time people start to gauge the politicians' opinions based on the ideas that they are selling to the people, not based on how much they criticize the government or how bad they talk about the government or how bad they criticize their opponents or how bad they talk about the opposition. You understand? So it's time to start facing the real issues and talking about them. Okay.
Why does it look like the political parties don't even consider how the people will feel whatever choice they make as far as maybe the primaries is concerned? Why does it always seem like that? We don't think about how the people will react as to who we bring forth as a candidate. Why do you think this is so?
With the PDP, that has been corrected. You see, that's why PDP came out and said, look, we are leaving this thing open, irrespective of where it comes from. So PDP is concerned about that. And it will not be correct. Maybe the other people, but not PDP. That's why PDP is leaving it open. That's why PDP has brought out, if you see the caliber of aspirants that are coming out from PDP, you have somebody like Engineer Gideon Ikine, somebody coming from the private sector who has never held any position before, and coming into where politicians are. In those days, you would think that, no, maybe only politicians can come in and be gladiators. But the PDP has left the field open. So anybody can come in. So the PDP is very, very concerned about those we are going to take. The PDP is concerned about what the people are thinking. That the PDP is going to grassroots. If you see the PDP indirect primaries now, it has been expanded. Unlike before, when you are going for the governorship primaries, you have about 900 delegates or so. But now you have expanded it to over 2,000 delegates. And these delegates are coming from wards. The wards make up more of the delegates. You have the ward chairman, the vice chairman, the secretary, woman leader, and youth leader from each ward coming as delegates. They don't have, those people don't participate. They never participated in governorship listing before, but now they are there. That shows that PDP is not saying that what are the people, what are they thinking at the ward, so that the person they will choose, that they will bring up. That's our.
All right, for us, why is it always that in Nigerian politics, there's a categorization? This man is not a true politician. I mean, if he likes, let him pave the roads with gold, bring some creativity into governance. This one is not a politician. But this one is a politician, maybe by reason of the fact that he's been there, he's done that. Why do we have this dichotomy? Why are we not allowing the capacities, the pedigrees of people who come for elected position to be the basis for our decision? You mentioned a young guy in Kenya who is about 23, just graduated. I mean, he won based on the credentials that he presented. Why is that difficult back here?
It's difficult back here because over the years, a lot of people are solely dependent on politicians. Politicians have so much understood the people, and they've taken a lot of advantage of the needs of the people. And it's sad because we're in a country where the poverty is very high, poverty rate is very high. So people definitely take advantage of the poverty situation in the country, you know. So what am I saying? You have a situation where people will continue to flock to politicians for daily bread. People will continue to flock to politicians for daily because they believe that, you know, they can get their daily bread from them.
Yeah.
And many a times people do not realize that, you know, that they are putting extra strain on these politicians so when they get into government, they begin to steal because they have so many people that they now have to give lagis to, you know. That's why it's always hard to see people in government not stealing. You understand? Because there's a pressure from the outside. There's pressure from the outside on people who are dependent on for example, you have someone who is in the House of Reps, for example, and every month is expected to give some certain amount to the party leaders to share.
Yeah.
And you forget that this person, first of all, is not even an executive position. He's a lawmaker. He has no business with bringing money to come and share for party leaders and that. His business is to make laws. And that's what you have in other countries, you know, particularly in the West. You know, when you're a lawmaker, you're a lawmaker. Your duty is to make laws. Here you see it as lawmakers, people are expecting you to buy motorbikes and come and share in the village, and buy bags of rice and come and share in the village. And then most times these people are now forced to push themselves into what they call juicy committees for them to do oversight functions and corruptly get money out of those systems for them to be able to acquire some of these things to go and back home and share. Okay. It's the pressure that comes from this sometimes this grassroots that introduces it. But someone who comes from the private sector has not been used to a life of having people come to your house every day to beg for alms like they do to politicians. In the north, you have people, you go to a popular politician like Kwakwanso, you go to his house in the north, and then you open his gate and you see that every morning there are about 2,000 or 3,000 people outside there who are waiting to get food to eat. It's always been a culture like that, you understand? And these people, and you expect when they get into government, how do they also think about feeding those people?
Sustaining what they've started.
So they have to dip their hands into where they shouldn't be dipping their hands into. Okay. That's where the little corruptions start to come in. Before you know it, it becomes full blown, and then we all start crying, oh, that this person is corrupt, that is corrupt. But sometimes we don't ask the question back to ourselves, what are we doing to make sure that these people are not corrupt? How are we reducing the pressure that we put on politicians so that they don't steal from the public purse? What are the politicians supposed to do? What is the duty of a politician? And so that's why in most states today, there are people are starting to look beyond politicians and look at technocrats, because these are people who are coming from the private sector. They are coming with a lot of experience. They are coming with a lot of experience in management. Yeah. You understand? If you take, for example, let's use the NEPA issue, for example. You see, we had NEPA for many years. Then we had PACN, which was also managed by the federal government. Then later they unbundled it and gave it to different private companies. Now you have a system where some states are now inviting local private investors to invest in power and generate power so that there will be competition. Because when you have competition, then you have different things to choose from. Yeah. You understand? Look at the Osiomo Power Initiative. Yeah. That's a brilliant idea. You understand? That's a brilliant idea. That's an idea of what we're talking about. When you have different choices, different varieties between politicians and technocrats, then you can have something to choose. Then it boils down to what ideas they have to sell to you for you to buy.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, I'd like to get a final word on your expectations on the party primaries ahead of the 2020 governorship election, against the background of some of the things that are already trending, you know, in the build-up to the primaries.
Well, first of all, before I answer that, the issue of this dichotomy you talked about, the politicians and non-politicians,
and the technocrats.
The technocrats. Yes. It's always there in our lives. I want to draw you back to the issue of HND, BSc dichotomy. It was there. You know, I think it's out of ignorance. With time, you find out that the society has gradually come to terms with that.
Okay.
And there's always a resistance of the people that are there. For me to be a broadcaster, I have to be a journalist. If I just come now, I want to start broadcasting, journalists like you will resist me. They will say, the man is not a journalist. I can't just go to bar and be represented if I'm not a lawyer. For me to enter the bar to represent them, I have to be a lawyer. So the resistance. So for you to practice politics, you must be a politician. So if you are not in politics and you just come in, you are moving against an established structure that is already on ground.
But that's not how it is in other climes.
No,
is that how it is in other climes? In other climes, you'd have succeeded in the private sector.
Of course.
And then you come into politics.
They gradually got to that level. But like I said, Nigeria, you find out that this thing is now, people are now accepting it, that there's no profession like a politician. You must have something you come to bring to the table where you are coming from.
Yes.
So you must bring something from where you are coming from.
Yes.
If you have not brought something from your private sector, if you have not created employment, if you have not created jobs, if you have not done it, you can't do that. So, but the primaries that is coming to our primaries, our expectation is that we are going to have a free and fair primary. Like I said, we have confidence in PDP. The PDP is going to show that we are ready to take over. They have given us a good
this takeover thing, we just have to be a bit cautious how we use it, because we know that the campaigns are yet to start, and there are rules guiding how these terms are used. So we need to play down on such terms, hoping that when the primaries are over and then 3 months to the election day, the campaigns would have been on a full throttle. Yes, such things are allowed. Well, thank you guys for coming on the program. Tony, thanks for coming. Fares, thank you for coming.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Many thanks again for joining me on the program TMI as we continue our discussions on the Edo 2020 party primaries. I have with me here Esosa Omogbe, engineer Esosa Omogbe. Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
You had a stint with the 2019 elections where you participated in the House of Representatives election. What was the experience like for you?
Well, I actually participated in the 2015 election.
2015 election, okay.
I was the candidate of the Social Democratic Party.
That's the SDP.
SDP. I also contested the primaries of the PDP in the 2019 elections for the House of Assembly representing Ego.
Okay. Yeah. So you've been to SDP, you've been to the PDP. So where's your next move?
I'm actually a member of the APC now.
Okay. Primaries is usually a very thorny issue. I mean, we've seen that over the years with our politics. But let's just come back home, talk about Edo State. Why is there seeming apprehension about the APC primaries? Is it because they are government in power? What is it about the party?
Well, the APC in Edo State today is a sellable party, is a winning party, and is the party in power. By reason of that, is the party in power both at the local government level, the state level, and even at the federal level.
Okay.
By reason of that, you should expect a lot of interest, because it's all about power and all about making an impact and then helping your people and contributing to your quota to the development of society.
Is that what is playing out now? Just the usual politics?
Well, politics at times can be very contentious, and that is exactly what is playing out as at the moment. Okay. I believe it's just the politics, and in time the whole thing will calm down.
Okay, but there are those who are saying that it's not going to calm down. It's actually going to get worse as we get closer. I mean, a faction is saying it's direct primaries. Another faction is saying it's indirect primaries. So where is the meeting point that gives you the conviction that it will calm down?
Well, I want to say that I believe that the whole crisis in the APC was not properly managed. it shouldn't have gotten to this point. I believe that we should have judged before we war. I believe that there is a measure of responsibility that position as high as the executive governor bequests on you, such that you should be able to manage people. You should be able to manage opinions. You should be able to manage ideologies. You should be able to subscribe to various differing opinions that are not necessarily yours. And then you aggregate all of this, and then you have a better, you come out with a more refined opinion. But all of this were not done. I think the idea of my second term is non-negotiable. There is negotiation in politics. That statement is wrong. The idea of it is a fight to finish, I think that is wrong. The idea of let them come to Edo State. Edo State is not owned by one man. I think it is all of this mismanagement, of the crisis that led to that snowball into what is into what it is today.
Okay. Do you subscribe to the fact that whenever there is an action, there's always an equal and opposite reaction? Because from these points that you just raised, you're putting the blame squarely on one person. And is that a fair judgment?
Well, you are very correct. It is a law that has been proven over and over, both in physics and in real life, that to every action there is an opposite reaction. However, I'm not putting the blame squarely on one person or one individual alone. There's nobody that is perfect. But I'm saying that there's a position you get to in life. There's a position that you occupy in life that will not bequest on you that ability to be able to manage people of different opinion, of varying opinion from your own opinion. The opinion must not be yours, By the time you are able to manage all of this, and I'll cite some examples. Take, for instance, during the times of Comrade Adams Oshomole, it came to a time that the House of Assembly was divided equally, the 12 of the ACN then, and then 12 of the PDP. And the ACN wanted to take over the leadership because they had the governor in person of Adams Oshomole. They wanted to take over the leadership of the House of Assembly.
Yes.
What they did was this. When they got to the chamber, definitely there was a deadlock. They were able to get Omokodion from one of the constituencies in Edo Central.
Yes.
They got him to their side. That is negotiation. That is tactics. That is that is shifting grounds. And they gave him the speakership. He just came into the party. They gave him the speakership. So if there have been this negotiation, I believe that everybody that have been complaining, or those people that have been complaining, they are human beings. They are not spirits. For instance, if a governor, I suggested it to a high-profile person in this administration that I will not want to mention the name. I suggested this. I said, for instance, one of the, should I say, antagonists of the governor can be said to be in person of Barrister Henry Ndagbon, the former Attorney General of Edo State. I said, take that man for example. I know him as a reasonable person. If the governor drove in the night, let's say 8 p.m. or 6 a.m. in the morning, and then place a call, Barrister Henry, are they your gate? Do you believe that Barrister Henry Ndagbon will not open the door?
So what makes you think that wasn't done?
Well, from what they've been saying.
What they've been saying, not what you saw.
No.
So you wouldn't know if those were done to perhaps reach out to him. You wouldn't know if that happened ever.
No. If it had happened, I believe that it would have, been in the public domain. Not only that, I also suggested another, and I also gave another suggestion, that why don't we set up a high-powered delegation of respectable Edos? We are all Edos. Yeah. High-powered delegation of respectable Edos. For instance, I'll cite another example. Let's say you approach the palace of Benin. Please, let's get some high-profile chiefs, respectable Edos. Let's get some high-profile politicians. That those other people the people on both divide can listen to.
On both sides of the divide can listen to. Yeah.
And then you send them. By the time these people come with their mien, with their charisma, with their personality, I believe something would have happened.
But isn't this too late based on where we are right now, the dichotomy on the mode of the primaries, whether direct or indirect? Isn't that too late? And
Well,
then there's been this nagging issue of the reincarnation of godfatherism in the APC. Are you seeing that as a major factor in all of this discourse?
I don't believe that it is now all about godfatherism. Initially, I thought that was the case. And I wouldn't subscribe to a situation where one man can dictate who becomes the governor of a state. But when I now have a deeper overview of what is happening, I discovered that it has gone beyond just one person trying to impose or trying to change the governor. That is not it. There are a lot of people that felt aggrieved. For instance, there were about 5 or 6 other aspirants wanting to take over the position of the governor. As of today, do you know that those other 5 are adopted one person? That shows that it's not all about godfatherism. That shows that it wasn't all about I want to go there. There are other issues that are fundamental that people are not seeing. For instance, I don't see a situation where one is a ruling party and every other person in the House of Assembly are of your party. And then you will not be able to call them as the person who is in charge and say, come on, what is the problem? Let's reach a compromise. Okay. I mean, so it has gone deeper. For talks to now be chasing people that were elected, chasing them here and there.
So you're saying it's too late now? As at the moment?
Well,
because we have the primaries just around the corner.
Yeah, the primary is around the corner. I have this belief. If the United States of America and then the Germans can still sit down on a negotiation table after the World War, if the British, the French, and then the Germans can also form there are various alliances that they formed after a very bitter and brutal World War. Yeah. I believe that there is nothing that is beyond, negotiation.
Is this going to be easier for the PDP on the other side, looking at the other side? You've been there before.
Yeah. Well, the PDP is a formidable party. I don't rule out any. They've been in power before, both at the national and at the state level. To write them off, I don't believe that would be proper. However, they've also had some massive exodus. Pastor Osage Ezeyamo has become a political institution. He has become a very massive figure in Edo state politics. And he has followership across the 192 wards of Edo State. For such a person to leave the rank of the PDP, I very much believe that a hole has been left. And that is also a plus to the APC.
Is it a plus to the APC or has been a source of further deepening the dichotomy existing in the APC?
I don't believe it has deepened the dichotomy. I just said a while ago that 5 other aspirants or more have since adopted Pastor Osage Ezeyamo as their, consensus candidate. Now, it is likely going to be...
let's say consensus aspirant, because the primaries has not yet taken place.
Sure,
okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Now, it is likely going to be a 2-horse race between the incumbent Godwin Obaseki in the primaries and then Pastor Osage Ezeyamo. Yeah. And if you are a true party man, whoever emerges at the end of the day, you are supposed to fall in line.
Fantastic. If you just join us, it's still TMI Thursday, x-raying some of the key issues dominating discussions in the build-up to the 2020 Edo State governorship election, beginning with the party primaries. And we're hoping that all of that will come to a close in the immediate future so that the real party politics will begin. Now, the feeling is that the politicians just think that they have the powers to determine who becomes the president, who becomes the governor, who becomes, what in the political scheme of things. What about the people? Are the politicians, why does it look like the politicians always, wave off the people who are the key determinants who becomes what? Why is this so?
Well, I very much believe that every sector and fabric of our society is like a microcosm of the larger society. You know, ditto the politicians. Now, the politicians did not, they are not from outer space. They are also sourced from amidst the people. And at times, they also reflect the feelings, the yearnings, and aspiration of the people as well. So I wouldn't want to subscribe to that it is all about the politician. However, in our politics today, it is party-based. As at the moment, we are not practicing independent candidacy, where somebody can just throw himself up and then the people will just queue up. First of all, you have to go through a process that the party will bring you out before the people can even have access to say, okay, you are good enough or not. I think that people matters, and they will always matter.
Okay, this nagging problem of the core politicians versus the technocrat is always there. I mean, you find the politician will prefer a guy who probably has not really achieved so much in terms of the corporate world, but they feel more comfortable with that guy compared to another who has done so much in the corporate world, well recognized. I mean, his testimonial is replete with what has been done. Why is this so? Why is this so?
Well, I believe that there are various criteria in picking who represents any political party or who is thrown up for election. For instance, President Obasanjo, I believe, was chosen by the power that be at that time to be the candidate of the PDP because of his antecedent. Ditto General Buhari, ditto Goodluck Ebere Jonathan. So at every point in time, you know, the polity will throw up, you know, the criteria that are supposed to be used in selecting a particular candidate. I don't believe that people are against technocrats. I don't believe that you have to be a core politician if there is anything like that.
So if people are not against technocrats, why do technocrats always have problems when they come into politics?
That you did well in the corporate world doesn't mean you will do well politically, simply because you may not have the capacity to manage thousands of people, to manage different ideology. It is different from solving mathematics maybe as a lecturer. It is different from balancing the book maybe as a banker.
There are those who will say, I mean, managing people of a large followership. I mean, you're talking about just members of a political party. In most cases, they are the ones that create problems for the technocrats. Is that what you refer to, thousands of people?
Well, for a ruling party, they could be running into thousands as well.
Yes.
And beyond that as well, I also say that the politicians are not coming from outer space.
Yes.
That is a key word. They are also a representative of the people. So at the end of the day, they are also voicing one way or the other, maybe representing the ideology of their people as well.
Okay. Just before we draw this conversation to a close, what are your expectations on the party primaries, Edo state governorship primaries, on both sides of it? I mean, we're looking at two of the major political parties now. What are expectations in all that is going on?
At the end of the day, I believe that the party primaries are going to throw up possibly some of the best minds that are in the arena right now. Okay. I very much believe so.
All right, thank you very much, Sosa Omoregbe. Thank you so much for coming on the program.